second podcast. How do you feel about our second podcast?
Welcome back.
The first one was pretty successful, I think. It was amazing. Am I being too modest?
I mean, he got excited when he saw 10 views on it.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, babe, 10 people viewed our
You guys
podcast.
love us. You guys love the world loves us.
Yeah. We have, I don't want to say we have low standards. I think we're just happy to be on this journey.
Content.
We are content.
We're content with 10 followers. We're content with 10 million followers, you know?
We are not trying to be famous. We are simply
We're trying to make Jesus famous, y'all.
And
that's what it comes down to.
We're sharing our journey, and if it resonates with one person, we really feel happy about that.
That is success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome back to episode 2.
Dva. Dobra večer.
Wait. Second episode. Prvi.
Sure. Prvi.
Ne.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Prvi's one.
I'm just going with what you're saying right now.
I don't even know. Drugi. Drugi.
I'm just drinking my tea.
Second. Okay.
If you notice,
guys.
First I want to say we have no spoon.
Yeah.
That wasn't my choice. I just looked at my tea right now, and my wife didn't put my spoon.
I was like, babe, I'm going to make the tea for you. Threw the spoon in the sink.
Wow.
Yeah. Well. So if you watched our first one, we were having
a debate
about the spoon because he likes to clink it.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, look at these cute cups we got from friends.
Friends. Guys, we have friends.
They're
our
so
friends
cute.
Gifted us these.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Look at this.
Soon to be Happy New Year.
I love stuff like this. I'm all about stuff like this. I literally have shoes like this.
Yeah.
And it made my year.
Our other friend got him shoes that look just like this, like giant, chopos, slippers, papuches. And I said slippers in 3 different languages. Bravo to me.
You are trilingual, my friend.
Not quite, but and he also got these shoes, and he got a matching Grinch outfit. So
yeah.
That's exciting. It's a blow-up Grinch outfit, and he loves it. And
my friends brought it from America, and when they came to visit us, I was trying to fight every urge in my body to
greet them first.
I had to greet them first, but I really wanted to know where's my Grinch costume.
Yeah, that's the real reason they came.
I didn't want to be selfish and make it about the Grinch costume.
People always ask us when they come visit, is there anything we can bring you? And typically I'm like, maybe some vitamins or something that I really liked from back in the States, or, something that I need. And this guy is like, priorities. We need a Grinch costume.
Something we need. It's come on. Of course, we need it.
Yeah, so I can't get over how cute. I was like, babe, make the tea in the cute Christmas cups. Because I love the holidays. I love everything Christmas.
Just
you see our tree here. I'm like, Gabe, can we just do this in front of our tree? Can we do the podcast? But our tree's tiny, so it would look weird. But yeah, you can see a little bit of garland up on the top of my Christmas tree. And then there's the nativity scene right there. So I don't know. I just love Christmas.
Yeah, you do. I can see.
But I've always been like that.
Nah, yeah.
And I'm not
she's always been like that.
I don't love Christmas. He's bothering me today because I'm just listening to Christmas music all the time.
Back home,
and he's like, okay, so we're not changing the station.
Listen, back home in Orlando, they got this one program, radio station called Z88.3, and as soon as Thanksgiving is over, Christmas songs.
I love it. And I love it. So I have my Spotify.
It's a Christian FM radio station, and it's amazing. But then after Thanksgiving, Christmas songs. And I'm just I looked at her, and I'm like, dang, you're like Z88.3 right now. You're just playing Christmas songs.
And I took it as a compliment. Well, thank you.
You can't.
am only playing Christmas, and it's funny. He called me out this evening as we were coming back from somewhere. But you didn't realize that when Levi got in the car on our way there, he's like, Mom, can we play something else? I said, no, sorry, the station's only set to Christmas music.
It's stuck in the Christmas
Spotify,
station.
So it's really my choice. Only Christmas music. I will listen to it until January 1st, and then I'm done.
Pentatonics.
Pentatonics has amazing
You could listen to them
music.
in other parts of the year. They're that good.
They're so
it's
good.
an a cappella group. If you haven't, check them out. They're amazing.
I do sometimes get the urge to randomly listen to Christmas music in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
But like 1 or 2 songs, nothing crazy.
Okay, so what do we...
We went on a tangent.
What are we talking about today? All right. So today we decided to talk about our stories. Our stories. Like
some will call it a testimony.
Our coming to God stories.
Our come to Jesus moment.
No. Before you stop this and you're like, this is going to be really... No. It's important you listen to this because there is humility. There is resistance. There is a struggle behind our stories that you can relate to anything because at the end of the day, one, we like to be transparent. So we're going to tell you a lot of stuff about us and about our marriage. Yeah. And we want you to know that you are not alone. You know what I mean? So by us telling you these stories, we want you to know that like you're not the only one going through it. So we hope that's what you get from it.
Come on this journey with us, guys.
All right.
All about community, as we mentioned last time. So this is our little community. Something funny, and I'm not gonna hold back, but I'm gonna say shout out to my dad who watches he follows us on YouTube, and I forgot. Because it's not something that we're like super active in. We kind of just transfer TikTok videos into here.
We just recently started to get active.
And like he saw our like first video and he's like, "Oh, I loved your first." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot my dad's watching. He's watching. Hey, Dad. You did a great job. Don't feel bad when I share.
Don't feel bad. Yeah, my mom and my dad are watching too, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep it real. Listen, our parents were not perfect,
and it's gonna be like when keeping it real goes wrong.
And when my kids one day give their story, their testimony, you know what? I want them to keep it real. I want them to tell the world, you know what? My dad, he could have done this a little bit better, but
No, it's my story, and you know what? I'm actually not ashamed of it. I just tease.
No.
I'm sure my dad will be fine. Maybe there'll be some things he didn't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with you. Tell us a little bit about your story, your testimony, your upbringing, coming to God.
So I was raised in the faith. Both of my parents are first generation. No, maybe not. Maybe second generation. Maybe third. I don't know. Christian. Maybe third or fourth generation Christian. But we moved from the Dominican Republic to the U.S., specifically New York. That's where I was born. And then my parents kind of settled down in Tampa, Florida. Mm-hmm. And when we were young, they divorced, unfortunately. And
how old were you when they divorced?
Man, I don't even know. I probably should ask that. Like, I'm not good with the details, and I'm not good with memory.
You were between 6 and 10.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yes,
I
probably.
know more about... You want me to tell this? I can tell the story.
So, but I always remember... my dad was so consistent whenever we would go over his house. He was so consistent in like reading the Bible to us, reading devotionals, having worship Friday evenings and Saturdays. And I always remember that. He was very strict. I will say that. At
dedicated
least I felt,
to the church.
Yeah, I
very much dedicated to the church.
I did feel like a little like... There was a lot of rules when it came to my dad.
Well, give an example. What was one of the rules that you were like, nail polish?
Yeah, like we couldn't paint our nails. And it's silly things. Like I look back now, I was like,
it's not a big deal. But when you're a kid,
when you're a kid, everything is like such a big deal. But my dad, I mean, he's very like of a conservative mindset. I think he's definitely become...
He was protecting you.
So much more open to just who we are as people. And my dad is extremely loving and so accepting of us now, wherever we are in our walk with God. My brother, my sister, me.
But it's interesting now, going back to the whole nail polish things, like that's... With our little girl, we don't let her go outside with like nail polish and stuff. Well, we do nail polish, yes, right?
Yes,
we let her. But
she loves makeup. She's 9, but she's like obsessed. Loves makeup.
And we're like, you can do it in the house.
Yeah,
you can do it in the house.
You can sit there in the mirror and play. and have fun.
Yeah, and she tried to accidentally go outside with, I didn't know I had lipstick. And I'm like, whatever.
Get back in the house.
Get back in the house.
And I think it's just because of her age. And yeah, we know our daughter is very eager to do grown-up things. And so we kind of try to really protect and shelter her from that. So definitely. I see why my father did certain things. When it came to my mom, so her relationship with God was a little bit different. And I really like the balance that my parents kind of brought looking back now. My mom wasn't so much like, we moved a lot, so we never really found a church home. Unlike my dad, like he kind of like found a place and like
stuck with it.
He took us to that church and like he still goes to that church to this day. So my mom was more like, hey, your relationship with God is your relationship with God, and there's no one that needs to judge it or speak to it. And I appreciate that about her because hers was very internal. You couldn't really tell from the outside, but like I always saw my mom praying at home. Like I would always see her like reading her Bible on her own in her room. And so I got these two very different perspectives from my parents.
So she wasn't too abrasive with her.
No, she was very like, go and make your own mistakes, which I appreciated, but then I also was like, man, Mom, you could have reeled us in because we made a lot of mistakes growing up. So we lived with my mom growing up, so this goes into my testimony. So my mom was very much like, hey, you make your choices and you will have to deal with those choices that you make.
Well.
Kind of thing. And I think we do that to a certain extent with our children. Like, hey, our daughter, you don't want to study for a test? All right, we've asked you for 3 days in a row now.
Yo, this works every time. I'm just like, Abby, okay, you're not going to do your homework? Okay, pack them up. Pack it up, put it in your backpack. Don't worry. Like, don't do it. You got my permission. Watch as much as television as you want. And then she's like, and then she grabs her stuff and then starts.
Because we want her to make good choices. I'm leading her to the well. I cannot make her to the faucet. I cannot make her drink the water type thing. So I think it's a balance. I think with my mom, she was a single parent at that point, and she was working a lot. And so taking us to church wasn't really a priority. And she kind of like allowed us to make a lot of mistakes. So this led me to getting into partying and drinking. So as we were getting older, I was just like, ooh, what's out there? What does the world have to offer?
Yeah.
Nothing. No. So I go out and I start hanging out with friends. And I just found this really awesome community of people that were just like hanging out all the time. They were partying. They were drinking.
When you were partying.
Yeah.
And was it a safe, like you felt safe there? You felt...
I did. Yeah. There was like a group of girls that I felt safe with. And I mean, once you start opening that group up, though, obviously you always like hang out with other people, then it's not so safe. But anyway, so I went out to the clubs a lot. Like I liked dancing, like Spanish music or whatever. And so I went out a lot. I partied a lot. I drank a lot.
How long did this stage last for? Like, was it...
It was just like a few years. It wasn't
so like 3 or 2?
Super long. Like I don't want to put like a time limit on it. I don't need a timeline. I don't need a timeline being built on me.
I just wondered. I just wondered. I like to ask questions.
Yeah. So I really just got into like this cycle of like, I was trying to like fill this like loneliness. I think my parents separating or divorcing like probably hit me harder than I was able to process or realize. And so I think it just led me to try to go find love in these things, in alcohol, in relationships. I got into a lot of relationships that were not safe or healthy in any way. And by safe, I don't mean like they weren't abusive, but they weren't safe for my heart.
Right.
So praise God, I never got into anything that was like physically hurting me,
right.
As far as relationships. But for my heart, I really gave my heart away a lot.
So they weren't just like cultivating the good in you. They weren't cultivating that.
No.
Yeah, they weren't adding to it.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So they were just kind of like, oh, I'm just here to party and that's it.
Yeah. And there was something deep down inside of me that like I always knew I would go back to the faith, and I always knew that I would marry someone that was God-fearing or godly or that loved God. So
what eventually like brought you to that point of humility, of like just humbling yourself and saying, okay, I'm gonna go back?
Yeah, and that's a dangerous place to be, because I remember like I did a lot of things that like probably could have not let me see the next day, but then like I was like, oh, I mean, when I pass this phase, I will go back to God. And it's like, tomorrow's not promised. So like I say that not because like, thank God I look back and I'm like, wow, I did make it to the next day. But, you know, a lot of people don't. Right. And I think that's a dangerous place to live, where you're like, hey, let me just party and eventually I'll go back to God. It's like, you hope you come out of that party stage phase. And I did, praise God. But yeah, so I was in the club. I actually have a very interesting testimony, or I have an interesting story. I was in the club, and I remember I had been drinking, and it was really loud in there. And at this point, I was just kind of getting tired of it. And I remember it felt as if all the music, all the sound in the club stopped. It almost like was this muffled, like, where you hear the beat, like, yeah, in the background. Do it with, like, your... Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly. Yeah. Do it closer into the mic. That's what I heard. Instead of the music, I just heard, like, this, like, far away, like... I can't do it that well.
That was amazing, babe.
That was...
we got to encourage each other even when we're not doing good.
Babe. Okay, so, and I remember just like the music kind of like everything slowing down. And I remember hearing just like a voice in my head. And it said, if I were to come now, God, if I were to come now, would you be ready? And instantly, like all the music came back. It was so loud in there again. Everything was just like everyone was moving around. You know how the clubs are. Just everyone's dancing, like rubbing up. You know, everyone's brushing up against you, and there's no space in there. And then that moment, I was just like, no. The answer is no.
But how did you feel like when you felt that God asked you that question? Did you come back? Were you...
I came back and I kept drinking because I was like, I don't want to think about this right now. But it was such a...
Like heaviness.
It was such a like real thing. Like it wasn't because I had been drinking. It wasn't like made up in my... Like it was just a true experience with God. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. And I was like, and I don't want to be ready right now. Like, I'm not ready.
Yeah,
and
you're having fun.
Yeah. And so I remember leaving, but that kind of opened the door for me to start reaching out to some friends that I had gone to church with before. At this point, we're living in Orlando, Florida, and I hadn't really found a home church. I had gone to a lot of churches, and they just felt very, like, judgy. They felt, like, not welcoming. I remember going into a church, and I had, like, a spaghetti strap dress on, and like the pastor talking about how like women should cover their shoulders. And I was like, I feel so uncomfortable here. And so I think there was something about like what I had before. And I kind of told God, and it's funny, I told God the same thing when we were moving to Croatia. I said, God, if you are removing me from this, I fully expect you to give me something better or something equal to. And so we left a very awesome community back in Florida. And when
God brought you from this community of like party community into even better community in church.
was asking that.
You were asking
but that's not what I was finding when I was going to church.
When you were going to church. But
correct.
Then
I visited multiple churches and I was like not finding that.
So when did you find that?
I found you, babe.
That's all I wanted to hear.
He set me up for that.
Yes, I did. I set him up and she knocks him down.
Yeah, so I visited multiple churches. My friend then asked me to visit, like, on a Friday night. Some guy was speaking.
This guy.
Did we speak briefly about this last time?
Yeah, we did.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, this is pretty much where we got to that point where I was preaching. I saw you. You saw me. There wasn't that many people in the congregation, but you were there, and it was your first time coming back to church after... the clubs.
He says I still smell like cigarettes. Not because I smoke. I don't smoke.
Figuratively.
But you know when you go to the clubs, people smoke in the clubs, and so you leave.
I could see there was a cloud of smoke still following you from the clubs.
I was like, okay. Anyways, so yeah, I guess that's where my story leaves off, because then the next in our next episode we'll be talking about like building that community that I so badly craved but did not find in church, unfortunately.
So
I feel like they thought this was going to go a different direction. I went to church and everyone was so welcoming. I wish. They should.
They should
be. And I said, if I can't find it,
ooh,
we gonna make it.
Come on now.
So excited.
And so really quick though, just kind of overlooking everything you just said, what advice would you give any young girl? Because you were early 20s.
Yeah, I was definitely in my early 20s.
What advice would you give any young girl out there pretty much dealing with this, or maybe it's in the middle or coming to a God moment? What would be the advice you would give them?
Yeah. First, I don't think that like people that go to clubs or party or drink a lot, like if you casually like, oh, I'm gonna just go dance one time, I don't, if you're just going to dance with your friends, like that's one thing, but I don't think that, I feel like there's something missing. Like if you are partying, like if your time is being consumed by drinking and partying, there's something that you're trying to like either avoid in your heart or in your soul, or there's something that you're trying to find and fill. And I get it. So many people might disagree, but I really think that like that's just not something that. Because in the clubs, like realistically, okay, so let's say you're like trying to find somebody. You're not going to find somebody that's worth
taking
dating.
serious.
It's very rare. Okay, yes,
there are exceptions to the rules. We understand that we live in a world with so many different possibilities, but your possibilities are very much limited if you're looking for somebody or looking for a long-term future husband, father of your children in the club. Because honestly, at the end of the day, people that meet in the club are just, they're there to party.
They're there to have fun. They're there to party. They're there to meet girls. They're there to meet guys. And I get it. That might be an unpopular belief, but like, but in like manner, all it does is decreases your chances to finding somebody serious. That's all it does. It's not to say that you can't, but it decreases it. Just like maybe going to church or going to college increases the possibility of finding somebody more stable. Somebody if you're going to college, you find somebody in college, you're going to find somebody that's educated. If you're working at, I don't know. A
corporation that's business minded or that's focused on making money, well, you're going to find somebody that makes money. I mean, that it just comes with the territory. That's it.
Yeah. So I would definitely. I have had tons of therapy and counseling on my own and in our marriage. And I think those were things that I had to kind of like, you don't ever know why you're doing those things. You're kind of just like, oh, this is just part of life. I'm 21. And then you're just going through the motions. But like, we don't realize why so many of us end up in these places or end up in these situations or end up seeking validation from men, from women, because we find ourselves just like feeling lonely and feeling like we need to be validated, like I'm enough. And it's like, you are enough. You're made in the image of God. You're made in the image of Christ. And you really are enough. And you don't need anybody else to tell you that. And so coming out of that, I love that that's my testimony. I would not change my testimony because I'm able to speak to an audience of like, I'm able to speak to those girls, like Gabe said, that have gone through that or experiencing that at the moment. And it's like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a
and
better
you are a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I think this is a good place to stop. And then the next episode, we'll go ahead and talk about
your testimony.
My testimony.
And then the next episode.
We'll talk about
the community that we built once we came out of these places.
That's right.
Awesome.
So thank you for sharing, babe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think it would take the whole podcast.
You know what's funny? It's like I'm looking at the time passing. I'm like, no. This needs to be said. Yeah. I want to, and I feel like there's more that can be said, but I wanted to give you as much time as possible to tell your story, because I think people need to hear it.
I hope you resonate with my story. I hope it's something that encourages you.
Definitely.
In every aspect, like whichever part you resonate with, I hope it encourages you.
And again, like I said in the beginning, the purpose of this is so that you know you're not alone. If you're going through something and you feel like, oh man, I am feeling so guilty because this happened, whatever. Listen, you're not the only one. You're not the only one, my friend. So, yeah. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. If you want to direct message us, please do so. We are here to help in any way possible. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
And don't forget to subscribe. It's so weird saying that. We're one of those people now.
Yeah,
don't forget to subscribe, all right? Can't even say it. All right. Vidimo se. Dobra večer.